Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories like these. Now, let's get into today's story video. For those that think they can't move on and recover, there is life after infidelity. Hello there, I've been lurking on Reddit for a time now, reading tales of betrayal via adultery and seeing so many scenarios that reminded me of my previous anguish. But in the end, I emerged victorious. You too can. This is my first post, so please bear with me if I don't get everything right. Here is the me of it. I mentioned this to another commenter months ago. I definitely should have turned this into a post, but I wasn't sure whether I was ready. Sorry for the length. I used to be great friends with this girl. C is her first initial. We have known one another since we were children. Her and my families all knew one another and were close, the type of close that finishes each other's sentences. C and I were always there for each other. I helped her get through some crazy events. Her mother had a health crisis, but everything was okay, and she helped me go through a nasty breakup in high school. C and I felt an interest to one another when we were younger, but we never pursued it because we were terrified that something would go wrong and damage our relationship. Despite the fact that she was extraordinarily attractive, along with her mother and sisters, I kept things platonic, but I saw that several of her lovers looked a lot like me, and she would often argue with them about comparing me to them. I always felt guilty for these breakups, and after her latest one, I suggested that we spend more time apart so she could figure out what she wanted. The following day, she texted me and said she wanted to chat at her place. I became anxious since I didn't know what to anticipate. She sat me down in her living room and spilled the beans, that she was in love with me and wanted more than just friendship. I thought it was a prank at first, since it occurred on April Fool's Day. Can't make this stuff up. But then she kissed me, and I kept thinking how stupid I was for avoiding this opportunity with her. Little did I know. Everything was excellent with us. I felt like a monarch who had found his queen. Our family were overjoyed, and we were in full pre-wedding frenzy despite the fact that we had only just begun college. With a smile on his face, her father replied to me, "It's about time." I was perplexed as to what was taking so long. We accomplished everything as a team. We had many good and terrible moments, but we always faced them front on and never concealed anything from each other. Yup. She seemed to be the love of my life material, and she was continually telling me how she would love me forever. I was on cloud 9 until I learned in subsequent months that she and my younger cousin male 18 had been spending a lot of time together lately. My cousin wasn't the most responsible guy in the world. His father abandoned him when he was 8 years old, but I always watched out for him and considered him a little brother. I saw he looked at my lady the way males look at any female thereafter and politely asked him what was up, and he would shyly answer nothing and go away. At the time, I didn't pay attention to it. C and I were sitting in my room watching a movie one night when she whispered, "Please don't ever leave me," in a mournful voice. I informed her it was never going to happen, but all she did was give me a sad grin. Things began to change after that. She got aloof and continued to withdraw from me. Even when we had, as much as we enjoyed it, it seemed to become a ritual to make me happy rather than to keep us happy. This lasted around 5 months. She was back to normal by Valentine's Day. All love, joy, and undivided attention. I'd even saved up enough money to buy her a diamond necklace. It had been a pleasant day, which made what transpired all the more painful. I had planned to propose to her that night, but I had neglected to get the ring from my hostel. After I sent her off, I returned to my vehicle and checked to see whether it was still there before driving away to my dorm, and it was, so I slipped it beneath the seat. I was about to walk back in to surprise her when I saw my cousin drive by and park right in front of her home. He didn't notice me since my automobile was in the shadows, but then he walked to the door, she opened it, and they started conversing. He continued to attempt to kiss her, and she politely declined, but soon they were in full make-out mode. She grabbed his hand in hers and led him inside, not even bothering to close the door completely. I was furious. I really began breathing heavily and quickly, as if I was about to pass out. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. My heart was urging me to pause before doing something stupid, but my head was encouraging me to keep going. I exited and rushed to the door, softly entering the home. I walked in and immediately heard her in the living room, moaning madly and groaning. I was seeing red, but I kept my cool. I pulled out my phone, set record, and discreetly strolled to a corner of the living room, where I saw something I will never forget. Her jumping about on him like a banshee. I called out to her once I had enough evidence, and they both freaked out. She hopped off him, and they simply stared at me stunned. Then she burst into tears, exclaiming, "I can explain, please don't hate us." My cousin was pale because he knew I could easily beat him to death. However, I did not remain. I showed her the ring and informed her, "You threw this away," before leaving. I collected what I needed and simply went, while they rushed after me, changing their clothing and attempting to BS their way out of being caught. Then there was the bizarre text, "I'm sorry, but please speak to me. It's not what you think it is. You're not familiar with his backstory. It only occurred once. He was being a nice buddy. He was assisting me. And I couldn't tell you. Don't shatter us. We'll be okay. You're being childish and immature." It didn't even last long. Is my personal fave. Finally, she attempted to shift the responsibility onto me when I didn't reply, but that all fell apart when I exposed her. And the aftermath was a nuclear disaster. Her sisters, save for the youngest, attempted to blame me for everything and manipulate me into accepting her back, but I refused. Then they informed me that it had been going on for 5 months. It was at this time that I observed them approaching closer. She essentially continued to sleep with both of us, with no protection from him. I knew right then and there that I was done with her. They were hardly dressed when I caught them, her wearing just her bra and him wearing only his socks. It was like witnessing porn in real time, with me as a reluctant participant. I thought only I could get her thrilled like that with the noises and things she did with him at the time. She stated she has always admired my figure, and I do a lot of exercise, but watching her bouncing on his skinny made me feel awkward for a while. There was no reconciliation in that place. As I drove away from them, all I could think was, what did I do wrong? I gave her everything and was rewarded with her scheming. She was on birth control while we were dating. Except for one occasion, I typically finish my sentences. I'm happy I did because my jerk cousin went raw on her and most likely completed inside her. I never screamed at her. She was never abused or disregarded. If she was content, I was content knowing she was content. We had known one another our whole lives, and I had mistakenly assumed she was the one. We once went to the mall for a tarot card reading, and the woman there informed me that a great love would find me. I informed her that she had previously done so in reference to see she did, however, give my daughter a strange look. That should have been one of the warning signs. There isn't a day that goes by that I'm not pleased I caught her. I would have married her if I had known what type of person she was. As I already said, the aftermath was apocalyptic. Her parents continued calling my phone after I nuked them both, asking to know what happened, and stating C was inconsolable. She created as a result. I essentially told them what had transpired. Her mother collapsed on the floor, and her father continued to apologize to me, claiming I didn't deserve this. Many friendships were shattered on both sides of our families as a result of this. Her 2 sisters, the youngest, didn't know the full story at the time, as well as our circle of friends, kept bombarding my phone with texts saying I needed to talk to her, and the oldest wanted me to take her back, even coming up with some nonsense excuse about a mental defect she just happened to have, as if I should be the one to brush her infidelity under the rug. She took the choice to be unfaithful to me. Then they informed me everything that had occurred and when it happened. During those 5 months, she would tell me that she was working extra hours and that her coworkers would cover for her, and how tense he became when he saw me when I went to meet him and my aunt. I was a trusting idiot who always saw the best in people and was burnt as a result. She started phoning me all the time. Her voicemails constantly sounded exhausted and strained from her sobbing and telling me that I shouldn't do this. She felt as if a part of her died when I left and pleaded to talk to me, claiming that I said I'd never abandon her. I couldn't stand hearing her anymore, so I blocked her. I didn't reply to any of her texts. My cousin attempted many times to contact me, but I ignored him as well. I'll never forget the smug smirk he gave me as I drove away when I noticed him in my rearview mirror. I knew if I saw him, I'd want to harm him, and I knew I could do it easily, and he knew it. But no amount of prison time is worth my freedom. My aunt told me that he felt terrible, which he didn't, and that he did what he did because he wanted to know what it was like to be me. After that, I was done. I avoided both of them, walked away, and never looked back. At the time, I was 22, she was 20, and he was 18. The first year was difficult. I'd never been cheated on before, and it screwed with my brain. But I had lots of pals who were willing to assist me, and my parents were a fantastic support system. My friends really took me on a vacation to France to help me clear my brain. It was the nicest thing that had happened to me. Seeing the Eiffel Tower, eating some madeleines, and learning some French all contributed to my increased confidence, and getting to draw some naked French beauties gave me an added push. Now I'm a 27-year-old graphic designer earning decent money and having a fantastic time. I went on a few dates, but nothing serious. Then, a few months ago, one of the individuals I least expected to hear from contacted me. C's eldest sister. She said she had my new phone number from my parents and wanted to contact me. I'd always been friendly with her, so we began messaging and keeping up. She and I had a great chemistry. It was fresh and thrilling for her. She was a cute, slender youngster with braces the last time I saw her. But when she showed me a picture of herself right now, my mouth fell. She was out of this world beautiful. Her family's women were always stunning, but adolescence took its toll on her. We recently met, and she embraced me so tightly that I couldn't bear to let her go. We began to spend a lot of time together, and she told me a little bit about what occurred after I left. C was apparently knocked pregnant that night by my cousin. They decided to try something for the baby, but he cheated on her, and she cheated on him again. Things took a turn for the worst for them when she placed the baby up for adoption. C then relocated to Los Angeles. I have no idea or care what happened to my cousin. Had said that she never forgiven her sister for hurting me and that she used to fantasize about me and her playing home. She developed a crush on me and told me that she was constantly thinking about me and that I was the ideal person that her sister didn't deserve. I told her I liked her and would want to start dating her if she was interested. So that's where I'm at the moment. I've got a nice career, a wonderful life, and I'm falling in love again. And I'm content. I've learned a lot from my experiences and would want to contribute my thoughts when I see new articles. To demonstrate that there is life after infidelity. To remind individuals that it is never too late to begin over. And, maybe most importantly, never settle for second best. It worked for me, and it may work for others as well. Again, I apologize for the delay. If you're still here, thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next part.